There will come a day when the young will be strong people. The elders say there will come a day when the young will be strong like the eagle. Way, away, away, way, away, 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 way, away, away, way, yeah. Way, away, away, way, away, 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 way, away, way. The elders say there'll come a day when the young will be strong people. The elders pray for that day when the young will be strong like the eagle. When the young will be strong like the eagle.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, my relatives. We're going to get started in a moment, and we've got a wonderful day for you. My name's Michelle Morningstar Doherty, and I'll reintroduce myself in a couple of moments. But this is a very first thing that we've got happening today is a live cross from Winnipeg, where our wonderful executive director is currently in. You can see Joni there. And yes, we'll be doing live broadcastings from both West Vancouver, where we're located, Our Children Our Way, as well as in Winnipeg, where Joni is with Mary Teegee, our chair, Dr. Cindy Blackstock, who we owe so much to. The family of Jordan River Anderson is at the honoring day there. And yeah, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. We'll let a few more people join if that's okay with you. Thank you.
Hadi Binhanzo, Dineze Zakuzate Skyse. I'm just on a call. That's okay, but thank you. I just wanted to, first of all, just welcome everybody to Bear Witness Day. What an exciting time. You can feel the energy. I'm calling in from Treaty 1. The treaty nations, the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Oji Cree, the Dene, the Dakota people, and the homeland of the Métis. I'm usually back home in my traditional unceded territory of the Lheidli. I'm from the Seke Dene people, the people of the rocks. But I also have ties to this territory, so it's really always so you can just feel it. I just want to welcome everybody to the day, but I also wanted to, we have special guests, and I just wanted an opportunity. They're really, really busy. Everybody wants a piece of them today. And of course, introducing Cindy Blackstock, Dr. Cindy Blackstock, who needs no introduction, and Mary Teegee Mausham Gabu from the Takla Nation.
Hello, everyone. Actually, I don't want you to even look at me because I want to show you what we got going on here. This is just a bit of it, like with the balloons and stuff. And it's like we've got bears, we've got Jordan's family, we have all kinds of community people, and I have to say, two of the stars have been all the children, and this beautiful twin sisters, Angel and Angelina, who led the parade today for Jordan's principal. So it's been an absolutely important day. You know, today is a day when we honor the spirit, and you can see the skies are blue. I tell you, every time we've done something important for Jordan's principal, the skies have been blue. I remember when we were at trial and we're going to be talking about Jordan's principal, it was storming, and then on his day, the skies were blue again. And I think that that's really says why the color blue is so important to Jordan River Anderson. Each one of you are a part of honoring this special little spirit of a little boy, but all of the little children that he represents who were treated unjustly by the government of Canada. And it was through the collective effort, including all the children, that we were able to get justice for Jordan's principal. But our work is not over. Canada is backsliding on legal orders and is again reverting back to bad behaviors that are putting children at risk and their families at risk. So we need you tomorrow to pick up the phone and get on the phone to your elected representatives federally and tell them to observe the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal orders, stop trying to offload, and make sure that they treat children in the same way that this message goes, is that every child matters. Doesn't matter where they are or where they live or who they are. They're sacred, and Canada has a legal obligation. So it's an honor to stand with these two and to be a part of your session. And I'm going to pass it over to Mary.
Thank you, Cindy. What an amazing day. And we have the little teddy bears that we're wearing the matching shirts. It's just such a beautiful day. We're in front of the legislature. If you can see behind me, there is the legislature is there. We have we have teddy bears. Yeah, so it's yeah, I'm cute. I'm so cute. I think this day, it's such a beautiful day, and as Cindy said, you know, blue skies and just the importance of the legacy that Jordan River Anderson and his family. I said earlier, you know, it takes, you know, just takes one person really to really to compel change in this world and to make a world a more loving place. And that was, you know, Jordan River Anderson. That's what we're doing today, is acknowledging him. I know some of you have watched, you know, the Messenger by Alanis Obomsawin, and you know that film just really encapsulates the spirit of what we're doing today and what we've always done. And I just can't say enough about the film and Alanis's work that she's done. Of course, you know, we have Cindy, Blackstock, the Caring Society, and everybody that's done that. But we can't forget that while we've achieved much, there's still much more to achieve, and that we need to work together. I truly believe that we're on a precipice of change. We have a new government. We do understand that there is a movement, you know, it's almost like a dark movement when it comes to politics, and we saw that affecting our brothers and sisters to the south of the border in the States. And that's why we really have to come together. And if anything on this day of you know, remembering Jordan River Anderson, we have to remember the highest law, and that's the law of love. The love we show for each other, the love that we show for, you know, for the world. And, you know, that's what Jordan taught us, is how do you use your love and light for good. So I really am just glad to be here. I'm honored to be the chair of the Our Children Our Way. I'm just really happy that this webinar is going on and that we're always going to be together. And of course, you're going to have all the information sheets that you can get that at I Am a Witness at the Caring Society. We have also our Children Our Way site where you can get more information as to what you can do to be part of the change. And for being part of the change, thank you. I love you all. Masai.
Thank you, everybody. So just a little bit of housekeeping, and Mary had mentioned it earlier. To be on the subscription list, we have two lists. One's a BC specific list. Then we have the national list with all the news releases, updates, and our future webinars. I just want to promote the Loving Justice Conference coming in Saskatchewan and our Children Our Way conference. We're getting lots of questions here in Winnipeg and Treaty 1 territory, but we just got a call out for abstracts for the Loving Justice, so check out those sites as well. And then, sorry, I'm just, I think it's just such an exciting time to be here together as allies and as Indigenous people all together, as Cindy had said. I had the opportunity of meeting the Anderson family and visiting with community and seeing that this work is not yet done, is what we had got told. And so with that, I hope this empowers, invigorates, inspires, just witnessing all of the community members, the children coming together today. I'm really excited about screening Jordan River Anderson, The Messenger. I really, Alanis Obomsawin, go check her out on the National Film Board. This is her 52nd documentary, but she had so many more more documentaries. So go check that out. And of course, she followed the whole Canadian Human Rights Tribunal journey, the long journey. We'll be coming back once you finish it. We'll have just a little bit of a debrief and visit afterwards, and hopefully I can show you around, and hopefully we can get a hold of Executive Director Sekani, Child and Family, Frank Daniels, and maybe he can speak to us. Thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to visit with you and see you. Awitse, Masai, have a good viewing of the documentary. Masai, I'll hand it back to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Joni. That is absolutely so exciting. Welcome, everyone. My name's Michelle Morningstar Doherty, and I'm the communications person at the Indigenous Child and Family Services Directors, Our Children Our Way Society. I'm a member of Cowessess First Nation, and I'm calling in right now from the traditional territory of the Squamish Nation in what's known today as West Vancouver. I would just like to give you a little bit of housekeeping again, just to let you know, number one, this is the first time we've ever had a live broadcast from Winnipeg. And as you just saw, Mary Teegee, our dear Dr. Cindy Blackstock, and our new executive director, Joni Conlon. They're all there, and we'll be crossing back to them after the movie. But I just wanted to give you an overview of Our Children Our Way. We support 24 Indigenous Child and Family Services agencies in British Columbia. We support the agencies to help ensure that the best interests of Indigenous children are being met. We advocate for systemic changes to policy, practice, legislation, and funding, and we address issues that have a province-wide, often national, impact with the view to providing a collective First Nations voice. Now, just to let you know that registered participants in this webinar will be added to the Our Children Our Way national distribution list. We actually also have a BC specific list, so if you'd like to be added to that, please send us an email. You can do that via the link on our website, ourchildrenourway.ca. And you'll get the latest information, what's happening on future webinars, and of course, information about the Loving Justice Conference in Saskatchewan and the Our Children Our Way Conference in Vancouver. It's easy to unsubscribe, so we don't want to bombard you with lots of various emails. We only send out really important stuff. So I want you to know too that this webinar is being recorded, and it will be available on our YouTube channel later today, and we'll let you know all about that when we do it. We're so honored to screen Jordan River Anderson, The Messenger, that was created by revered filmmaker Alanis Obomsawin. It tells the story of how the short life of Jordan River Anderson initiated a battle for the rights of First Nations and Inuit children to receive the same standard of social, health, and educational services as the rest of the Canadian population. Although he could never speak or show any emotion, he left a powerful message and a legacy of hope and justice. His life story reflects the unjust and unethical treatment of Indigenous children and inspired those with the strength and love of their hearts and voices to speak on behalf of this child and to advocate for many others who may feel voiceless in a loud and unjust society. So now that we've got our housekeeping done, let's open in a good way. I'd like to introduce you to our dear knowledge keeper and advisor, Judy Wilson, who will be opening us up in a good way. Judy?
Cook Jam, thank you, Michelle, and thank you for Dr. Cindy Blackstock and Mary Teegee and Joni all being coming in live from Winnipeg to show us what the parade looks like today and the beautiful blue skies. So I'll open up with a prayer to open us in a good way. Cook's Jam, Kilcookpee, Creator, Great Spirit, we thank you, Creator. We thank you for the blue skies today, from Father Sky. And we thank you for our Mother Earth that we're standing on. And we also thank you, Creator, for the beautiful stars in the universe that are aligning for us, Creator. That Jordan River Anderson on this 20th anniversary is showing a collective movement in our spirit, Creator, and also in our emotions, our body, and our physical, and all of the 4 directions, the 7 directions that we know: north, east, west, south, up, above, and below, and most importantly in our heart, how Jordan River Anderson touched all of our hearts, not just our First Nations and communities, but and families, but all the Canadians across the country, which is so important to show the inequities and discrimination our children face, and that they shouldn't be facing that, Creator, that they should be able to be like any other child. And we pray for that for all of our children today, Creator, in this special screening, the Jordan River Anderson, the messenger, and that we take that message in our heart, Creator, to our families and our communities and our nation, so we can make it right by our children, that their children shouldn't have any concern on who's paying their medical bill or who's taking care of them, that we're all collectively responsible for that, Creator, and especially in the government to end that discrimination on forcing us to choose whether our children will be fed that day or get health services that day, or whether they're going to be in good care that day. So we pray to end those inequities for all of our children. And we thank you, Creator, for this special time in our circle across our country, across Turtle Island. And we pray for the continued good work of all our helpers, of all our workers on front line that are supporting our families and our agencies and our right holders and all of our matriarchs and all of our knowledge keepers and language keepers, and all the ones that are in the respective work, because all of us can help in some way, Creator. So we thank you that. We thank you for all of those medicines in a good way, Creator. Please be with us, and we thank you for our ancestors, our guardians, and our helpers, and the seen unseen that are always with us, and those special medicine bundles we all carry. Cook's jam, cook's jam, cook's jam, cook's jam. Thank you, Michelle, and everyone. Enjoy this special presentation, and think of something you can do for this special 20th anniversary. Light a candle, smudge, or say a prayer, or walk along the waterways and let Jordan know we're all here for him and his family that are continuing the fight. Cook sham, cook sham.
Thank you, Judy. It's so wonderful to open in such a beautiful way. My relatives, I'll hand it over to our dear colleague, Lori Mason, policy analyst with the Our Children, Our Way Society. She's not feeling too good, but let's watch the movie and we'll be right back after with an update on where is Jordan's principal right now, more special guests, etc. So see you soon.
Here we are in Kinosausipi, Norway House, Manitoba, a Cree community of 8,000 people, located more than 800 kilometers north of Winnipeg in Canada. This is where the Anderson family lives. When Virginia Anderson was pregnant with Jordan, she had complications and had to be flown to Winnipeg to give birth. This is why Jordan ended up so far away from home, in the Children's Hospital, where he lived for such a long time.
Oh, there's that guitar, Jordan. Isn't that nice? Oh, I think he really likes that, Marcy. He must get that from his dad.
Yeah.
guitar player here. I think so.
Well, Jordan couldn't talk. He never spoke. No. He never cried. He didn't have any tears. And he had club feet. You had to feed him to the stomach. So many difficulties.
So by practicing with Jordan, Shanna is teaching him what it feels like to stand up and to sit down. Get up, buddy. Get up so he's getting the practice. Get up, please. Push back there. Good job holding your head up, Jordan.
They explained to us Jordan was born with a rare syndrome. There's only 8 cases known since the dawn of time.
Atta boy. Good standing. Head up 2 feet down.
Because of the conditions that Jordan was born with, there were some things about him that were different than other kids. A big one was that his face wasn't able to move. His face was paralyzed in a way. Most of the time with babies, you get a lot of reaction from them. With Jordan, you just got a lot subtler reaction.
There he goes. Look at those elbows. Look at those arms. Good job. Good job, Jordan. You did it. Hooray.
Nice work.
You worked hard, Jordan. Good for you. Good for you, Jordan.
Jordan was ventilator dependent his whole life. He had a tracheostomy, so he breathed through a hole in his neck that was connected to the equipment.
Where's my nose? Where's my nose?
When children are ventilator dependent, they're not able to make noise in the same way because the air is no longer going over the vocal cords. So you just have to be attentive in different ways.
There's my nose. There's my nose. Where's Jordan's nose? Where's Jordan's nose?
I remember his dark, full head of hair.
So I think we were trying to encourage him to tilt with his head. Have you been shown that?
I remember him very clearly in my mind. I got to work with him for the entire duration that he was here. There was an instrument he used to love to strum. It's got a little silver strip, and all it takes is to go back and forth, and it's very touch sensitive.
See how hard Jordan's working to do it? Good job, Jordan.
Yeah. All right.
He liked to sweep his hand back and forth, and it would make it sound like a piano, going up and down a piano. They're learning, that their hand is playing that so that they can be more responsive in the session.
Nice job, buddy. That's very good. And we crack the nut.
What's neat is we get to work within a team. So I would also work with the physiotherapist, and whether she would be working on helping support him to sit or to roll on his side, I could be doing music across from him to just keep him engaged and to try to improve the quality of life that they're having here.
To visit with people by touching their face, pushing on their chin, getting them to open their mouth.
Each of them worked like these therapists. There were so many. I'm happy to see that. I was very impressed. I watched them work. I learned from them too. Really helpful. I'm thankful for them.
Can we do rockabye? Rock goodbye, Jordan, on the treetop. When the wind blows, that cradle will rock and rock and rock. Ah.
I was more or less raising up my children here. I let my late wife, she wanted to look after him.
Here comes Virginia, Jordan's mom.
She'll be gone for months at a time. Then she'll come home for a week and she'll go back.
And there's Mary Jane.
It's more or less that's how it happened.
There's Grandma and Grandpa to Mary Jane, Mom and Dad to Jordan. Oh, kissing people's like one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember my baby was 2-year-old. My little girl, I was 2-year-old when Jordan was born. She was still in Pampers. So I had to body train her and all that. It was hard because they wanted their mom. My 2-year-old and my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old, they would cry for their mom. I cried with them. I'm not ashamed to say that because I really did cry with them, especially at night when they wanted their mom beside. Yeah.
The doctors had informed us that he needed to be near a hospital at all times. Even if he got well enough to move into a foster home, he would have to be near the hospital. In 2002, a medical foster home was located in Winnipeg, but certain things needed to be done in the home to make it wheelchair accessible and to lift Jordan in and out of bed, to the bathroom, etc. That foster home was found, but the wrangling between the provincial and federal departments began because they could not decide which department would pay for what.
It was very disheartening and disillusioning that the two levels of government could not come to an agreement at that table of a payment for Jordan so he could leave the hospital. And he never did leave the hospital. He had actually gone into a coma and he passed away in 2005.
Hi, Jordan. Are you looking at your book?
The medical staff were just so wonderful with him. They had it set up so warm, but they knew that Jordan deserved the opportunity to live in a home.
Who's that? Oh. Who's there? Christian. It's Christian. Look at how Jordan's opening his mouth. You can open your mouth really wide.
If he had been a provincial child, same situation, if he had been deemed a provincial responsibility here in Manitoba, he would have been released, no questions asked, and the entire per diem would have been covered. But it was because of his Indian status, federal responsibility, that he never had that opportunity. I had raised the issue with a colleague of mine in Ottawa, Cindy Blackstock, and the profile was raised in regard to this injustice.
Cindy met with me and talked about Jordan River Anderson and about the plight of Aboriginal children across this country. And working with Cindy, we developed a motion to be presented in the House of Commons. So Cindy was really my first point of contact.
The question is the following one. Ms. Crowder, seconded by Ms. Wazalisi, moved that in the opinion of the House, the government should immediately adopt a child-first principle based on Jordan's principle to resolve jurisdictional disputes involving the care of First Nations children.
Yeas pour 262, 262. Nays contre aucun, none.
Je déclare la motion adoptée.
We were pretty sure it was going to pass with everybody in the House because we'd done the work ahead of time, making sure we told people what it was about and giving them background information. But I think the thing that was the biggest, had the biggest impact on me was all of the children. Families brought their children, and they were in the gallery when the vote happened. And you had these families whose voices were not being heard. They saw members of Parliament vote yes, that children mattered, right? And for me, that was the moment, you know, knowing that families were seeing this and hearing this, that their kids were there. It was amazing.
Jordan's principle established that when a child is in need, the first government agency that is contacted must serve the child at that moment. If later a different government department is found to be responsible for providing the services, the costs are then shifted. However, despite the motion being passed, Indigenous children were still not able to access services through Jordan's principle. The Assembly of First Nations, the Child and Family Caring Society, and Jordan's community continue to fight for Jordan's principle to be fully implemented.
I have not seen any changes ever since the Jordan principle was introduced. There's been no real meaningful changes for the kids that need help. The hospital helps those that it can help with its limited capacity. It's a very old building, and with the new technology, with the new equipment, you need to rewire it, and it just doesn't have the capability to do that. So we would require new infrastructure to be able to accommodate all the new technologies that come in the area of healthcare. All our people from different communities that had to be housed in Winnipeg because they couldn't get the healthcare treatment in their community. As nice as Winnipeg is with all the conveniences and everything else, most of our people would rather be at home. They'd rather die in their home community because that's where they're most happy, right? And so understanding that, what we try to do here is provide as much opportunity in our community, and hopefully it will deliver for us the results we're looking for, which is more professionals in our community, homegrown.
It was the same story for all Indigenous families across the country. No one could access services through Jordan's principle.
Straight up, look up. This is Noah. He was born 10 weeks premature with cerebral palsy. He weighed 4.5 pounds. He will always be dependent his whole life. He's always going to need somebody to look after him. He's 16 now, so he's pretty special. We tried to send him to the same school that his older brother and sister were attending, because obviously we wanted all of the children to be attending school together. We were denied. The school wouldn't take him because they needed funding from the provincial government. The province of Alberta provides, at the time it was $20,000 towards, it could be for a teacher aide or it could be for special computers or other special equipment that special needs children need to learn in school. And so they call it program unit funding or PUF funding. We were denied PUF funding because we live on reserve, and that was the only reason. If we lived off reserve, they would have covered it. But because we lived on reserve, there was a flat out no. So my children couldn't go to school together. What we did is we enrolled him at the school here in Montana. My husband was a teacher and he worked there. So at our own cost, we bought our own van. We had it retrofitted. It was made into a handicap van. My husband would take Noah to school with him every day. Noah did well in school. He loved school. Right, dude? You really like school? So he did really well. He thrived there, made lots of friends. But when he was in grade 4, we decided to send him to the Norwood School in Wetaskiwin because that school had a really excellent program for special needs kids. They were happy to have him, and he did really well there. He just thrived. He was actually in a leadership role. He was a crossing guard, and he also was the safety rep for his class. So we enrolled him there, then we tried to sign him up for busing. We didn't get that. They didn't have busing that was handicap accessible. So what we had to do was, if we wanted our son to attend there, we had to make some difficult choices. My husband had to, well, he couldn't work for 14 months. He drove Noah 2 hours a day, and we lived on my income. I mean, who else has to make those choices, right? Those were the only alternatives we had. But it was worth it because Noah loved school. He just loved the school there. And he thrived and he did really, really well.
He's had one horse, this old horse. Do you remember your horse's name? That's right, Amos. But he was so old, there wasn't much life left in this horse. An old roping horse, just about bomb-proof. Norwood School had this program for special needs children. And the idea behind children with CP riding horses to try to build their core. The only thing was that funky-looking helmet you had to wear. Yeah, everybody had to wear the helmet. But for my little guy, like I say, it's always trying to do something for him. I've made hand drums for him. He's the only little guy who's gone to sun dances who's got his own hand drum. I made him one, and there's this other drum that he likes to use as well. He prefers the deeper toned one than the one that I made for him. That's fine. That one was his late grandfather's. I re-hided it. I used buffalo hide. And, well, that's the one he likes to use every now and then. I said I wouldn't cry, but I tear every time I think about how hard it's going to be for my little guy when his parents are gone. Because sooner or later we will go. It's always somebody's turn, and I will go. But that's fine. I accept it. So in between then and now, I work as hard as I can to provide what I can. What I can. I've had to cash in my pension twice to buy things for him, to buy a vehicle, to get him to school, to get him to the doctor's appointments, to take him wherever he needs to go. Today, I don't worry about that anymore. I've still got my pension. I've got a fresh pension going. I haven't had to cash this one in yet, right? See, moi c'est quoi?
Swam across, and it came out over there, and we're hoping he's gonna come back out. Oh. It's right there on that rock over there. That bear just came right there. See on that rock there? He was looking at us. The bear? Yeah, he was quite big, eh?
Is it a black bear?
Black bear.
Yeah, a black bear. A grizzly one. No, not a grizzly one. So go play inside. No more swimming with him.
I was there when Jordan went. He just went so peacefully. These machines were going off, beeps, and then all of a sudden it was just quiet. It went silent. It was quiet, and then the doctor came over to Virginia and informed him, that Jordan had passed. Like, there was nothing more they could do. So I was with Virginia. I stayed with her, and she, she, for the very first time, she was able to hold her son, like without any tubes, without anything. She crawled into bed with him, and she was hugging him. It seemed like he was just at peace. just like a little angel. It took its toll on the family, which is sad because if they were here, maybe things would have been different.
But after that, I couldn't take the pressure, especially when I seen my children suffer and my wife died. Well, she passed on about 6 months after Jordan died. I have a hard time with it. The loss, pain, especially with your children, you're going to hard time too as you are. It's hard. Yeah.
Things didn't work out so good, you know. So Virginia had to move to Winnipeg there to look after him, eh? And that's where, you know, things got worse, you know, loneliness and whatever, you know. She had to worry about her children back here, and then she had to go back and look after that little one. You know. Things didn't work out so good.
When she left to Winnipeg to be with her son Jordan, it was very hard on the family, especially the children. And like I know a lot of times they were like lonely and helpless. And like I knew like she was torn apart to leave the family. A lot of times she cried because she wanted to be with her children, and she didn't want to leave Jordan in Winnipeg by himself.
Ernest didn't just lose his son, he lost his family, he lost everything. That's the problem here, is the government, the bureaucracy, people don't want to hear the truth. This is reality for us here, our children. We're having elections this fall. I have yet to hear one of the parties to come up and say, oh, we fully will support or implement Jordan's principle. No government party in this province has done that except for one.
Trudy and I talk about this often and have been talking recently with people in Norway House about the need to continue this fight, because it's very apparent that we are not there in terms of where we should be. We don't yet have a guarantee that if there's another child like Jordan Anderson who comes along, that he wouldn't be treated differently and he would be made sure that he would have a chance to get home.
We talk about universal health care in Canada. Well, why is it that it's universal except for Indigenous kids? And that's what people were advocating for. They were saying if it's universal, it has to be universal. And our treaties actually talked about this right to health care and this relationship. And if we think about the history of Canada and Indigenous people's relationship with the Crown, if the Crown is controlling the purse strings on healthcare funding and spending and services, then that treaty obligation to health, to the ability to be well, should be right at the top of the minds of every Crown official in government. There should have been no fight.
Led by Cindy Blackstock of the Child and Family Caring Society, a case was brought before the Human Rights Tribunal for equal rights for Indigenous children in education and health services, which included the full implementation of Jordan's principle. All other children in Canada were able to access health services through the provinces without any problems. For Indigenous families on reserve, the only way to gain access was by giving up their children to the welfare system. The Conservative government fought to protect its own image through appeals that lasted years and that cost millions of dollars. Finally, in January 2016, the Human Rights Tribunal found that Indigenous children and families were being denied equal access to the provision of child and family services. It's hard to believe that despite this ruling, Indigenous families were still denied access to these services. So the struggle continued.
You know what? You are the reason why we do all this, right? Jordan's Principle is something that was gifted to all of us by Jordan River Anderson and his family. And I am so hopeful that together with all of our support, with floats like these, with bears like those, we're going to make sure that no First Nations child is told no, or you have to wait for a service that's available to all other kids in the country. Because our kids matter. And all you have to do to come to that conclusion is take a look at these beautiful children. And they should not have to wait in line because of who they are. So we're going to make sure that other First Nations learn from all of you and with the love in your heart. And I just want to say what a great honor it is to be here. Thank you for the honor song. Thank you so much. Virginia's family from Peter Ballantyne First Nation, and most of all, the Anderson family. What you have sacrificed, no one can ever give words to. But I am so grateful for the changes that your son's legacy has made in the lives of thousands of children in Canada and around the world. We are all in your debt. So thank you very much.
It's worth the fight, and it's a good fight. And you're all in it. We didn't choose it, but yet it happened. I didn't know what to think. My head spinned. I don't know where my heart was. Where's my heart? I think I lost my heart for some time ago.
Living with somebody with a disability is very hard. If you have a relative, if you know somebody, go help them out. It's not that hard to just, offer your help. And, those people will feel very happy for it, I just want to acknowledge those people, like, they're the parents of the kids with special needs. I know they're having a hard time, because my parents had a hard time too. So just please acknowledge them and respect them and, support them in every way that you can. Thank you.
Months passed, and still the government failed to implement the changes ordered by the tribunal. In April 2016, the tribunal filed a compliance order against the government, followed by a second compliance order in September 2016. In March 2017, 15 months after the original decision, all parties were brought back to the tribunal to hear the issues of non-compliance.
First, I thank the Creator for allowing us to be here today on something that's very dear to all of us, and that's the life of our children. When I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about all the little things our children do, and they remind us of how important love is. And they remind us that they came to this world free. They had freedom. And they also reminded us that they had equal dignity. Some of our little ones coming into this world with misfortunes or mishaps Does that mean we neglect them? Does that mean we put them aside? We have to question ourselves. I don't care what level of government you are. We have to question ourselves. How do we love our children? Or do we love our children? When you look at a little one, what do you see? You go through a stressful day. You go home, pick up that child, and just hold that child. And that child will take away all the stress that you have. It works. Powerful. Do justice. Loving justice. Caring justice. Honest justice and respectful justice for our little ones. Simple.
Please be seated.
So good morning, panel members. And good morning, too, to those who are here, the children most especially. In my hands, I carry the baby blanket of Jordan River Anderson, a gift from the Anderson family in honor of Jordan's principal. I've said many times that I was shocked we had to file this case to bring equity for children, and I cannot even find a word in my vocabulary to tell you how shocked I am to stand here today. And what about 15 months and the government's calls to patience? The word patience is really bound up in this blanket. It's the same idea they used to talk about Jordan's situation when they had repeated case conferences to resolve his dispute. And patience means to suffer without complaint. First Nations children have been suffering without complaint for the 10 years since this case has been filed, and for the 15 months since the decision was made, providing a very clear plan for the respondent to move forward. And in many statutes, when a baby is removed because of the lack of prevention services, by the law, the provincial law, the respondent requires fees applies to our kids, we only have 6 months to reunite that child with their family before they can become a permanent ward and adopted out. So this patience, the burden of it, is placed with the children, their siblings, and their families. It must be properly shouldered by the respondent. I pray this is the last time I have to stand up in this room, not because the company isn't good, but because every time that we do stand here, every day that we stand here, another child loses their family, loses their culture, loses their language, and in far too many cases, loses their life. I thank you for your attention, and I thank you for, again, dedicating this space to loving and caring justice for our children.
Thank you.
Change is not in a decision. Change is when they implement it and make children's lives better and their families' lives better. And it became pretty clear to me very quickly that they weren't going to comply. And one of the things that was brought it into focus was the budget. Budget 2016 was created in the fall of 2015. The government witnesses under sworn testimony confirmed that there were no changes made to that budget after the tribunal ruled. And in fact, many of the top officials in the government didn't even read the decision, let alone change the budget. And then when the compliance orders were issued, still no changes in the budget.
I will make it abundantly clear at this point, it is our position that Canada has complied with the tribunal's orders with respect to immediate relief, and as such, the motions that are requesting either findings of non-compliance or that we have not fully complied ought to be dismissed to that degree.
What Canada is saying in this hearing, after Canada's role in residential school, which has been called cultural genocide, after the 60s school, that Canada played a direct role in the separation of thousands of First Nations children. And after 3 orders saying Canada needs to stop racially discriminating against this generation of kids in ways that separate them from their families, Canada is arguing in these proceedings that the tribunal should just trust it with First Nations kids.
If you give it to non, which
you don't need to retain supervision over us. And in fact, you have no legal authority over us because we're the government. Just leave us alone.
Process going forward.
We have put forth an affidavit sworn January 27th of this year, so just 2 months ago, by Dr. Curlew. Dr. Curlew is the family physician for Wapakika First Nation. Tragically, in the early days of January 2017, Wapakika First Nation lost 2 girls who died by suicide. On January 8, 2017, Wapakika lost 12-year-old girl Jolynn Winter. 2 days later, on January 10, 2017, Wapakika lost 12-year-old girl Chantal Fox. Wapakika is currently in a state of crisis and on a high alert for other youth contemplating suicide. Paragraph 5. I believe that these deaths were preventable. In July 2016, Wapakika had actually filed a proposal with Canada to try to protect their children. A proposal that wasn't responded to, and a proposal we later learned in cross-examination met all the criteria for Jordan's principal funding and should have been funded. And to this day, we don't know why it wasn't. Wapakika cites a reality that they knew of a youth suicide pact. In January of this year, 2 youth die, with that proposal being absolutely unaddressed.
I heard a senior official from Health Canada say yesterday that when they received that proposal from Wapakika, it was a bad time. It was an awkward time for them to even consider approving that request. And I think that's the question that our communities are asking today, is when is it the right time? When is it the right time for this government to act and support our communities, especially our youth and our children?
We perpetrated the oppression. We are the beneficiaries of colonialism. We are the racists. And yet, these things continue to go unaddressed. And I say with respect that as a matter of reconciliation, these things have to be implemented. The time has to stop for us listing inventories of things that haven't been done. We have a responsibility in these proceedings to actually create results. 16 months is too long. There is a record before you that INAC and Health Canada are either not willing to change or are incapable of change. You can create an apparatus so large, so rooted in the Indian Act, that by its very definition, it is a tool of oppression. I fear that despite the best intentions of some officials, that's what's happened. It needs an outsider. It needs you, it needs others, to order them to do things, because they can't do it themselves. They are unable to do it. Their own apparatus has handcuffed and paralyzed them.
More time passed, and Carolyn continued to battle the bureaucracy.
By this time, they had money set aside for Jordan's principal cases. We're still fighting our case. We weren't getting services, and yet they had this money set aside. Well, where was that money going? What were they doing with it? They actually had a story where they were asking people, they had set up a Facebook page where they were asking people to contact them through Facebook if they had Jordan's principal cases. I couldn't believe it. I thought, seriously? You know, our requests go to Health Canada, they go to FNIB. It's our doctors and our therapists and our healthcare providers that are making these requests. They're still saying no, but they had this money set aside. It was just unconscionable. I had no choice. I submitted my own complaint to the Human Rights Commission. I made a submission, they would respond to my submission, I would respond to their response, they would respond to my response. And through that whole process, the commission investigator started to believe what the officials from Indian Affairs were saying in their submissions. Eventually, the commission investigator made a report to the commission saying, we recommend that this complaint be dismissed. The Department of Justice lawyers were happy. They said, yes, we agree, this complaint should be dismissed. I was really upset. So I contacted Cindy Blackstock, and she said, can I forward this to our lawyers? And so Anne Levesque, one of the lead counsel for the Child and Family Caring Society, called me and she said, I've never seen a recommendation so hostile to the complainant. And she offered to act for us pro bono. And then things started to change from there. Finally, things changed. I was really grateful that we had somebody to help us.
In addition to
Anne Levesque and David Taylor did such an excellent job, and that's what really made the difference. We finally reached resolution, and Noah will be going into grade 11 this fall. We have a new education authority established here, and they have provisions for special needs transportation. I mean, if I weren't a lawyer and politician, and my husband, who was a high school principal at one time, between the two of us, and also with the support of our families, you know, we have been able to advocate for Noah. But just think of all the families who are not in that position. It's heartbreaking knowing that they're out there, that there's children who have been put in care, or families had to move off reserve just so their children could get access to services.
shortly after he was born, one of the social workers asked us to give him up and put him in care. And I was vulgar, you know, I swore at them. I said, F you, and that's the polite version. That's my son. He's my son. It's my responsibility. I'm going to look after my son as best as I can for the rest of my life because he's my son. You know, you can't take that away from me. You're not going to take it away from him. So he's been with us. He was not going to go anywhere other than be with us. What do you think? Huh? You think so? Yeah, I think so.
I was born in the Huckleberry Patches in Carrier-Sakina Territory near Prince George, British Columbia. It's my 9th birthday. Cindy and I are celebrating with other children and grown-ups who bring their bears to daycare, school, and work to spread the word about Jordan's principle. See everybody bringing their bears?
Mm-hmm. I did that once.
You brought your teddy bear? You brought Bingo? Yeah. I believe that children can change the world because I saw it happen at the tribunal. Kids just like you made a difference, and how bears like me and other animals too helped along the way. Let's join hands and paws and hoofs and keep working together until every First Nations child is treated fairly. Remember, every child matters.
Our dreams matter too.
And you matter, Johnny girl. That's what Spirit Bear did. He made sure that every child matters. So what else did you want to do?
After all this time, without help, money, or respect for Jordan's principle, change has come within the government itself. Our children with special needs are now finally receiving services like never before. As of May 2017, many good people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous alike, are now working together within the department to implement the changes the tribunal ordered. One can feel the dedication of all in making sure our children can have a future and the benefit of Jordan's principle.
When you talk about the history, I'm curious to find out what is told to the employees.
We would say that that was based on a discriminatory approach and not one that the government is currently committed to implementing. The tribunal had indicated that that was not the definition of Jordan's principle that we should be utilizing, and so we've actually received an amended policy authority under the Child First Initiative to reflect the May 2017 orders of the tribunal.
There was a talk of maybe the number of requests plateauing at some point, but it seems to me in looking at these documents that there's no sense of slowing down.
I certainly don't see that happening. We had, just in terms of our spending, if you look at our spending of $135 million in 17-18, I can tell you that as of last week, we were at $307 million just for this fiscal year. We're forecasting at least spending around $612 million this fiscal year.
And there's no signs of any slowing down in your view of the needs?
Not in my view, no.
And the needs that are being funded right now, those were needs that were unmet prior to this Child First Initiative coming in?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know whether Canadians actually understand the extent to which Indigenous peoples in this country have faced discrimination in the past and the deep scar that that has placed on our country. The scars associated with colonialism, domination, the forced assimilation of Indigenous peoples. It's so important to all Canadians that we reverse that past and move ahead with reconciliation, move ahead with affirming rights, move ahead with justice and making sure that every child in this country has access to outstanding quality health care. And particularly in the case of Jordan's principle, you should not be discriminated against because you're a First Nations child.
When our government came into office, some of you may know that the number of cases on which children were approved for treatment on the basis of Jordan's principle was 0. And now I'm very proud to say that there have been over 77,000 requests for care and 77,000 cases have been approved. So, merci beaucoup.
Gail, I think Spirit Bear needs a little help blowing out the candles. Can you help him? You can? He would love that. Hey.
My little girl wouldn't be where she is today without Jordan's Principle program. The number of services and number of benefits that she's been able to enjoy has made a huge difference in her life. And I know it's making a big difference in a lot of lives of First Nation families. So I'm very grateful for that.
Members from communities across the country are meeting in Winnipeg, Manitoba for a summit on Jordan's principle.
So when we found out that there was going to be a presentation to the Anderson Family Maui Council, I wanted to present something to the family to show our appreciation. We had this star quilt made by an elder in my community, an Elsie Bukdug. And we wanted to make sure that the family knew that Jordan is appreciated and that he's loved and that he's helped so many children in our communities.
Hi, thank you very much. I welcome you here to the first ever National Jordan's Principle Summit.
The good news is Jordan's Principle is now law. It's not a policy. It's not the Child First Initiative. It's none of that. It's law in Canada. And that means that the government of Canada has to be responsible for the law. There's been over 90,000 services approved under Jordan's Principle, and that's in large thanks to his family. That's always been your commitment as a family, is you wanted to make sure other little kids didn't suffer the way that Jordan did. Can I ask anybody who knows of a family who's been touched by Jordan's Principle and helped by Jordan's Principle to stand so the family can see that? These are all the people who have been helped by your brother's legacy and by your family's legacy, right? There are lots of kids right now who are living out that progress.
My children are so happy because of Jordan Principle. I have 3 boys who access resources through Jordan Principle. Makeshu's 12, Dakota is 8, and Clifton is 7. And all 3 boys have a lot of challenges. They're aware of Jordan. They know the story, and my children will, they'll say, "Mommy, we have support because of Jordan." And I truly am so thankful to everyone who has fought so hard for all First Nations children to have these resources, and so thankful to Jordan's family from the bottom of my heart. I'm really grateful, and thank you so much.
It was the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that recommended Jordan's Principle. I had no idea who they were or what they could provide for me. They sent their caseworker to my home, met with me and the children, and interviewed us. And the following few days, they had a plan in place. They sprung into action like I've never seen before.
I'd just like to say thank you, because Jordan's Principle has really given me something to live for. I feel like I was going nowhere before that. And I'd just like to thank Jordan's family and everything that they've went through to help me in my life.
I would tell other families not to give up. Jump through those hoops. Don't give up. There are people who you can contact. If one doesn't help you, go to another. There is somebody there to help, and our children are worth it.
I'm actually a Jordan's Principle mother myself, and have gone through that whole process of applying for the Jordan's Principle services back before any of the funding came out. And although I had met that criteria, that very, very narrow criteria, we had met that criteria back living on reserve, and went through the whole process with Health Canada, with Manitoba Health, everybody at every level in our community, from Chief and Council, Health, Education, CFS, and ultimately in the end, after going through it all for a year, nobody could help us. And we were given that option or I was given that option because I'm a single parent, to put my son in care. And sorry.
Sorry. Take your time.
Thank you. What are we going to do with our kids once they age out of this? That's always my big question, because my son is 16 now. He can only stay in this program, up until 21 if he's in school. If he's not in school, it's only until 18. And I worry one day that I might not be here for him. And I'm sure all of you have that same worry too, that you won't be there one day for your child. So we still need to keep working to continue this and to have it right through till, to the end of everybody's lifespans, because it shouldn't just get cut off, because certainly disabilities and medical conditions do not go away once you turn 18 or 21. So, thank you.
And I agree, like a common denominator here is child welfare. Why should we be forced to support that system by putting our special needs children there instead of supporting the families? Our son has treaty rights, just like the rest of these children. They have rights to be in their communities, to be in their homes, to be with their families that love them, and not in the foster system with strangers who don't love them, however well-meaning they may be. They don't love them like we do, and they never will. Racism and discrimination is what's keeping services away from our children, and that's the bottom line.
Oasis. Mamutawi no kapete poatat. Kakiwait. Eki wapata. Ettegwe. Dansike swichi kamoat. Witawasa. O makapun kwatakitait. Yitaw na moat. Dansike swichi kamoat. O hek. Gusiminawa. Kitwasum sinawa. Nanaskumao. E mawasakungwa. Kakio. O makape kwatakitaya. Taskutawa. O ko tawasakok. Mo meksaki sa kwatakitaya. Kakwese pamiawaswa. Ego amut sa kaituan. Kaipumek. Akamemok. Do not give up. Carry on. You panel. You who care for your children. When I go back to my community, when we have our pipe ceremonies, when we have our sweat ceremonies, we will pray for you. We will pray for you so as your spirits can rest, so as your hearts can rest. Remember, you are not alone. Tindige.
I've always felt that the law is just the law. It can be a shield or it can be a sword. And for us, it's been both. And it was the means by which we were taken to residential school. It was the means by which our lands were taken. But in this case, it was a shield for this generation of children. It could be used to restore their dignity and their ability to grow up in their families. Justice is possible.
Yeah. It's been well looked after. It's I think this speaks of the generosity of the family, that they gifted such a precious gift from a little boy that didn't get to live his life with them, and that they shared with everybody in Canada. And I think this blanket is a symbol of the heart of the family.
February 2019, 216,000 Jordan's Principal services were approved in Jordan's name. This law needs to be carefully protected to ensure that no family goes through what Jordan and his family experienced.
You know, Jordan has a strong spirit.
There he goes. He pushed that button.
He didn't live long, but he had an impact in so many people's lives. It's an honor to know that Jordan River Anderson, his legacy is still living, still going on.
In Bear Country, strange behavior was witnessed in some black bears who started pacing the land. These bears could feel Jordan's spirit flying by. They wanted to welcome Jordan to the spirit world. Jordan was at peace, making new sounds and smiling. A renewal of goodwill and recognition of the sacred in life for all children. Jordan River Anderson, you are our hero.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'd like to offer everyone a virtual smudge. It's a very moving documentary. We have Joni Conlon, Mary Teegee, Cindy Blackstock, and others that will join us in a moment. So if you'd like to collect your thoughts and just sit there quietly, I'd love to share some words with you from our beloved Chief Crazy Horse. He said many years ago, "Upon suffering beyond suffering, the Red Nation shall rise again, and it shall be a blessing for a sick world. A world filled with broken promises, selfishness, and separations. A world longing for light again. I see a time of 7 generations when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole circle, earth will become one circle again. In that day, there will be those among the Lakota and other nations who will carry knowledge and understanding of unity among all living things. And young ones will come to those of my people and ask for this wisdom. I salute the light within your eyes where the whole universe dwells. For when you are at that center within you, and I am at that place within me, we shall be as one. Haichka OCM, all my relations. Please take a quick break and we'll wait for Joni and everyone to get back. We won't be too long now. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching.
Hello,
There
everybody.
she is.
I'm actually right here. We just finished ending the event. The children are now playing. So we just wanted to close. Cindy is visiting with the Anderson family, spending some quiet time with them. All of them had attended from the Norway House Cree Nation. I think today was just a really important day for all of us in the circle that are helpers. that are advocating for children every day. And sometimes that can feel really isolating in your various roles. I just want to thank everybody for coming together. It's through this collective spirit that we make significant change for children and families. It's an honor to work with all of you across Canada, Turtle Island, from those of our who are joining us from Maori territory, from Australia. I just thank all of those who stand in solidarity. And this is what's so important. I can't Today was a really, really important day. We heard leaders. We heard the Minister of Children and Families in in Manitoba, Nahani Fontaine. We heard from the Minister of Mental Health and from Houselessness, who held that portfolio, all committing to supporting Jordan River Anderson's legacy, all supporting to make and uphold the principles of Jordan's principle, and remembering at the end of the day that Jordan's principle is not just a piece of paper. It's a little boy who could not return home simply because governments were arguing who would pay the bill. That's injustice, and we will continue to uphold Jordan's principle, and also remembering that Jordan's principle is a legal rule. It's a legal ruling. It is not just a piece of paper. I want to thank everybody, and I hope that you can bring this story home to your family members, your community members, our allies, and remind them of the importance of this day. I feel really honored to be here in Treaty 1 territory with the Anderson family, and with others who are looking after their children in the best way possible because of Jordan's principle. We know that there's issues. We know. Dr. Cindy Blackstock knows. We know that we continually will have to hold the federal government feet to the fire, so that they can act responsibly and uphold. And hopefully we're done with the compliance orders, and we're just waiting words. So everybody, positive energy together. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for the smudge and the smoke going up for our families and for Jordan, in the spirit world. We'd say Masai, Masai, Masai. Thanks, everybody. I wish I could have shown you the rest of it, but they were wrapping up. So thanks.
Aichka OCM. Thank you, Joni. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, if you look at the First Nations Caring Society website, you'll find lots of resources there for you. The video will be that we've just taken today will be available on our YouTube channel, and we'll also have a whole bunch of fabulous photographs in that that we were sent by Mary and Cindy and Joni today in Winnipeg. Please keep Jordan in your heart and never give up. We will do it. We will survive. We have so far. So I just want to thank blessings to each and every one of you. Take care.